from the British International School of New York, and I will be representing the proposition today for this topic, which is the government should restrict free speech in times of national emergency. As the head of the English-speaking union explained, this topic is based on a Churchill quote, which was something like, "It is the duty of every citizen in times of national emergency to do or say or even to think nothing that can weaken the energies of the state." And as the proposition, we agree with that Churchill quote, and we thought that we would start off with that.
My name is Brian Schmidt from Hackett School, and we are opposed to the proposition. Because these journals documented things in these other countries that the government did not want made public. They now are allowed to detain these journalists, and it happened to a journalist named Laura Peritas, who was detained after visiting from Iraq. Now, this is a horrible abuse of the Patriot Act, and it should never have happened in the first place.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Cohen. Well, our team, the proposition, is fighting for that the government should restrict freedom of speech in times of national emergencies. Now, let me start off with another quote from Winston Churchill, which is that everyone is in favor of free speech. Hardly a day goes by without it being restored. But some people's idea of it is that they are free to say whatever they like. But if anyone says anything bad, that is an outrage. Now, that is basically what our team is trying to say. That if someone criticizes the government in time of national emergency, then the government will fail and not be able to carry on what it wants to do. Now, my first assertion is how a government would react to an upset in their system. Now, as we can clearly see in North Africa and the Middle East, the government reacted very violently because of freedom of speech not being restricted. Now, in Egypt, for example, freedom of speech was not too heavily restricted, and people were starting to blog on Facebook about the revolution, and basically this whole freedom of speech made Egypt fall apart. And you may say this is a good thing, that Egypt is now better than it was before. But in reality, all these people dying is not exactly good, because Egypt, if Egypt was fighting an external war and an internal war at the same time, that would be horrible for the government, and the government would fail. And this usually is happening when revolutions happen in the time of war. Now let me give you an example of that as the Russian Revolution. A long time ago, Russia was fighting in the World War I, and they had a revolution in the middle of World War I. Now this is a big deal because lots of people died, and well, it really something really bad happened, which is communism started to happen, and lots of people died. So that is just one reason on how the government would react to an upset in their system. Now, my second point is that there is time and place for criticizing the government, but in times of stress, the citizens need to band together. Now, this is true because in the Bill of Rights, it says that people may not say any words that will jeopardize the government. Now, in the Bill of Rights, that's one amendment. There are many other amendments, such as you are not allowed to shout on the street things that would make the government fail and that would jeopardize the government. Those are just different things. And a very good example of the government trying to stop people from jeopardizing them is a campaign in World War II named Loose Lips, Sink Ships, was started just to protect England from other invasions. Now, what Winston Churchill said, which is, it is the duty of every citizen in times of a national emergency to say or even think that nothing can weaken or discourage the energy of the state. I think I said that correctly. And well, Winston Churchill thought of it as a much broader thought than just World War II. In any national emergency, the government should definitely restrict freedom of speech, because not heavily restrict it, but restrict it because the government will definitely be able to be better by carrying out their original plan, like my colleague said before, and not being able to get a revolution while fighting an internal and external war. Now, my third point is that the government needs to keep secrets about about their national emergency to keep the country safe. Now, this point I borrowed from NPR News, and my biggest reason for this is without restrictions or secrecy, the government would never find Osama bin Laden because many people would talk about it and they would give out their opinion and freedom of, and since America restricted freedom of speech, not really restricted, but kept it very secret when they were trying to find Obama for the past 10 years, they would have never found Obama, and that is a very strong point. Now, my fourth and last point is, as my colleague said, a revolution may appear. Now, in Syria, Egypt, and Libya, there are all these revolutions, and revolutions are not a thing of the past. Revolutions still occur, and there are always because of no restrictions. Now, in Egypt, again, there wasn't very heavy restrictions. And many people died, and well, it wasn't very good. So this is why I think that you should vote for the proposition side, and why the government should restrict, but not heavily restrict, in times of national emergency.
Moment of truth. Okay. This is going to be a show of hands. All of those who believe that the proposition team established that the government should restrict free speech during national emergencies, please raise your hands. And those who support the opposition, or in other words, believe that the proposition did not prove their case, please raise your hands. Well, in the opinion of the chair, I believe that the opposition has won this debate. So please join me in celebrating all of these students, though, for their bravery and their hard work today and throughout the school year. Congratulations.
There are, we call them BISME, our British International School students. Nicholas Coleman.
Try to get your... No, yes, but when my finger goes up, then you start. Okay.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Coleman. I was debating today at the Morgan Library. Now, at the Morgan Library, we have this wonderful exhibit named the Churchill exhibit, with lots of artifacts from his life.